Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Catherine and this is Raspberry Reads. If you're new here, welcome, and if you like my content, then please feel free to subscribe. So today we are doing a video all about books to read for spring. I've seen lots of articles and videos about different sort of themed content, and I just thought, oh, spring's such a wonderful and refreshing time of year, so I wanted to share my thoughts on what some great books to read for spring are with you. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So the first ones I have to share with you today are three children's books. So the first book I'd like to share with you today is really going to come as a surprise, and it's The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. But the reason why I wanted to include this is not for the book in general, but for my particular edition. Look at this gorgeous edition. It's so lovely. I got it from Lucy's aunt, so my partner's aunt, for one of my birthdays. And I just think it is just the most splendid edition. And I have read The Secret Garden, but I haven't read this particular edition yet. I'm saving it. Maybe I should read it soon, since I'm suggesting it for spring. But yeah, look at those end papers. And the reason why I like this one so much is because it has interactive cutouts in it. So let's see if I can show you one. So yeah, I'll just show you an example of one of the bits inside. So yeah, beautiful robin that pops out. What else do we have? Let's see. There's, let's see if I can show you. There's a snake here. That's a 3D snake. And yeah, here's a bit that has one of those turning things. Yeah, anyway, so it's just such a lovely copy of The Secret Garden. So if you have children at home or children you know, and they haven't read The Secret Garden yet, then I would very much recommend that you pick up this particular copy for them. So gorgeous. It's one of my most prized possessions. The second children's book that I wanted to recommend for spring is by Ash, Oak and Thorn by Melissa Harrison. So this is quite a funny story actually. So this one was on my Goodreads TBR, and my lovely partner Lucy looked on my Goodreads and wanted to find a book for me for my birthday, and she saw this one and thought, oh, that's a great book. So she ordered this book for me and went to the local bookshop to pick it up, and then was completely bewildered by the fact that it is a middle grade book, a book for children. She thought it was, I guess, maybe an adult fiction, and I mean, why would a middle grade book be on my TBR list? Well, it's because it sounded like such a gorgeous story, which it was. I've read this and I've since loaned it to my niece. But this is about three little folk, I guess as they're called. So three little guys, and they go on an adventure. So they wake up in the springtime and they realize that something is a bit amiss, and they go on this adventure to try and find more people like themselves. And yeah, so it's a really good book to introduce children to the idea of climate change and the importance of looking after our environment. And yes, it had lots of sort of nature themes in it. It's very spring-like in its vibe. Beautiful cover. And yeah, so I would recommend this one for spring. And the third book that I'd recommend for children for spring isn't actually one book, it's a series of books. And so these are the fairy books. They came out in the 1920s, and they're by Cecily Mary Barker. And so I have the whole collection, but I just thought I would share some of them with you as a reflection with you today. In particular, we've got Flower Fairies of the Spring, and so just as an example, we have the Coltsfoot Fairy, And yeah, there's just like little sort of poems, descriptions about them. There's the Daisy Fairy, little sweet descriptions about them. Throughout the book, there's also flower fairies of the garden. I've got flower fairies of the wayside, and then this one is an alphabet one. So yeah, these are really sweet books. They were given to me from my grandma, and I think they're quite precious and very, very spring-like. So yeah, those are the 3 children's books. So if you hear sort of scratching, Wilbur is right here being a little nuisance, my dog. So the next 2 books are books that I've already read. So the first one is called The Western Wind, and this was by Samantha Harvey. And the reason why I think this book would be good for spring is because it's set around Easter. So it is a historical fiction set in the medieval period, and it follows mainly the life of the village's priest and how he is responsible for sort of his flock, his community. There is a death. This isn't a spoiler, but there's a body is discovered, and they're not sure if it was an accident or a murder, or if the person had taken their own life, what have you. So it's sort of exploring the kind of that mystery, but also it's mainly about sort of the community and how this priest looks after the community. I didn't really love the book at the time because it was very religious in context, and that's just not really my jam. But I do think about it a lot, and I think if you like historical fiction, and particularly if you like reading about religion, then I'm sure you would enjoy this book. And it's set during Lent, so the Easter season, spring season. If you're looking for a historical fiction recommendation, then The Western Wind would be one to check out. And the next book is, I read it through the Libby app in a digital format quite a while ago, and I don't remember exactly when it was set, and I cannot find out online, but I'm pretty sure it was set in late spring and summer. And this is The Salt Path by Raynor Winn. So this is a book based on a true story. So Raynor Winn and her husband Moth lived in Wales, and back in, I think it was 2013, they were having some financial difficulties, and they ended up losing their house. And then her husband, Raynor's husband, Moth, is diagnosed with a terminal illness all at the same time. So it was quite a lot for them. And they decided that basically they had nothing else to lose. So they were going to set out and walk the Southwest Path, I think that's what it's called, down in England, down on the southwest coast. And it was such a moving story. It was very nature focused. The reason why I couldn't quite remember is because I think it was set in spring, or it has a very spring vibe anyways, because it's all about sort of new beginnings and has a lot about nature. So yeah, I'm sorry if I've misspoken, and it is actually more of a summer read, but I would describe it as a spring read. If you haven't read The Salt Path, then maybe check it out. And I still haven't read her other 2 books in that series yet. I can't remember what they're called. I think one of them's called Landlines, but I'd like to get them to them soon. Moving on, I've got 2 books that I'm currently reading that I think fit well in this category of books to read for spring. The first book is Wilding, and this is by Isabella, and this is a non-fiction book, and it's an account about Nepp, I think it is, which is a farm estate down in Sussex in England. And they were basically this couple, who are farmers, were struggling with the kind of, industrialization of their farm in the mid 2000s. and they were facing financial difficulties, so they decided that one of the best ways to sort of save their farm was to rewild it. So I'm 108 pages in, but yes, this book is just recounts the process of them rewilding their farmland, and it's very spring-like in its vibe. It's not specifically set in spring, but again, from sort of like the rebirth, new beginnings perspective, this one is definitely an interesting book. When I finish it, I will include my full thoughts in a wrap-up. And the other book, which I'm just about to start reading, so it's kind of cheating a little bit, but it's Silent Spring by Rachel Carson. This is a very well-known work about environmental activism, I suppose, and the use of chemical pesticides killing wildlife, particularly birds, back in the 60s, I think. Yeah, 1962. So I'm already sort of well-versed in what this book is about, but I haven't actually read it. So, I mean, spring is in the title. I think it's an important work of environmental history that is that everybody should read. And yes, I think if there's going to be any book about an environmental topic to read for spring, then this one should be it. And the last category is books that I would like to read, but haven't got to yet. And the first one I don't even think it's out yet. So it's called Wild Women, Empowering Stories from Women Who Work in Nature by Philippa Forrester. And as far as I know, this comes out at the end of April. And this book seems to be about accounts of factual accounts of women who work in an area of conservation, or as we would now define it as conservation in the modern period, but it covers across the globe and different periods throughout history. And that just sounds like such an interesting book to me. So again, I don't think it's necessarily about spring, but since it's got a lot of content about nature, I thought, well, maybe it would be a book worth mentioning here. Sort of similar book is, I think it's just come out, and it's called Why Women Grow, Stories of Soil, Sisterhood, and Survival by Vincent. And so this book is about women who garden, or who are custodians of the land. And I think Vincent argues that women's narrative in gardening has been somewhat overlooked, and she wants to sort of reclaim that. And it's, as from what I understand from reading the description, it's about women's sort of journeys through processing their grief or their life stories in the context of their gardening. So that sounds like a nice thoughtful book to read for spring. And the last book is actually, it's not really just for spring, it's for any time of year, but I wanted to give it a shout out now. And this is The Wild Remedy Journal by Emma Mitchell, and this is, the subtitle is Finding Wellness in Nature. This book came out, I think, in 2020, 2021, and I followed Emma's writing for a while on what was known as Twitter, and she looks at this sort of scientific explanation for wellness when we connect with nature. Really, really interesting. But she created this wellness journal. She's got lovely illustrations in it, and it's for journaling throughout the year. So it's not just for spring, but I thought, if you're wanting to connect with nature, then this wellness journal could be a good opportunity to start now. And then also Mental Health Awareness Week is in May, and so again, thinking about wellness and mental health, this book could be perfect for sort of covering all of those bases. So yeah, those are all the books that I wanted to recommend to you today to enjoy in the spring season. What are you planning on reading this spring? I apologize. I realized that some of my audience is actually in the southern hemisphere, so it's actually autumn for you. So not to exclude you. sorry, the dog shaking. Not to exclude you, what would you be interested in reading for the autumn season as well? So we have everybody covered. But yeah, so I hope you have found this video interesting, and I hope you're all doing well, and I look forward to chatting with you in the comments, and I'll see you soon in a new video. Take care. Bye.